Shawn, thank you for joining us, and thank you for accepting the nomination to be the Father of the Month for February 2002.
Thank you.
So thank you for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your life, your family?
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in the Buffalo area, on the east side of Buffalo. I graduated from Tech High School, and then I graduated from UB, Buff State, and Madai. 3 different terms. I met my wife at UB, and now we are parents of 5 boys. And we've been married for we've been together 21 years, married 19 in about a month from now. The way we parent our children is really God first, family second, everything else secondary.
Sounds good. 5 boys, that must be a lot.
Yes,
a lot
it
to
is.
manage. What are their names? How old are they?
I have one that'll be 20 this year. His name is Naeem. He's going to his junior year at Buff State. I have a second son who'll be 18 this month. His name is Zaire, and he'll be going off to college at Coastal Carolina or another college that's piquing his interest. I have a 16-year-old who's thinking about pre-med. His name is Shawn, my Shawn Jr. Don't ask me why he's Shawn Jr., but, there's a story behind that. We also have a 14-year-old named Teziah, which means passionate soul. He's also one of my the joys of my life. Also, I have a 9-year-old. He'll be 9 in July. His name is Judah, which means praise.
Gotcha.
So I have 5 boys, and all of them are 2 years apart, except for the last one. The last one came about 5-6 years later. So we have the oldest one is born in July, and the youngest one is born in July. So it's an interesting dynamic, though. But I love family. Just that's what brings me joy.
So I see you're wearing a Say Yes Buffalo shirt. So you work for Say Yes now?
Yes, I do. I work as a family support specialist in a health home. I've been there since December 2020.
Gotcha. So you started during the COVID pandemic, and you're still with us?
Still with us, yeah.
Great. So what's your relationship like with your boys? I hear that football is a big thing in your family.
Yes, football is a really big thing in my family. Each one of my boys had to play football. So just to try it out, some of them didn't like it. A couple of them it stuck with. But my pastor used a terminology like the way we go after football, is the way that some people should go after reading a Bible or practicing their religion or being spiritual. Like, football is really huge in my family. And I played football growing up. I played for high school. I played for college, little college, stuff like that. And that's how I connect with my boys. I kind of make it more like a team approach where me and my wife, we don't try to be dictators to our sons and stuff like that. We make it more like, kind of like where they have a say, but, it's not like the 1970s and 80s where we were kids and they were just like telling us it was like, do this, do that, do this or whatever. So we give them a say, and we have family meetings like my pastor told us to talk about. We always talk about what's going good in their life, what's going bad in their life, and talk about how can we fix it. We have different themes in our family meetings that we learned halfway through the way of our marriage on how to implement that into our family.
Talk more about that. It sounds interesting. A family meeting.
Well, when me and my wife do a family meeting, we don't do it every month, but we do it like ever so often, where we have each child go talk about each person in the family about the things that they do well, or what they bring joy to them, mm-hmm. And they also talk about how they are things they can improve on each person. So we start with the positive first, and then something that each person could work on to make that child or that adult's life better. And
that's awesome.
It's been working. That was something given to me by one of my mentors.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. So what do you enjoy most about being a father? I mean, you got 5 boys, very close together, all now in different stages. They all seem to be doing well. What's your favorite part about being a dad?
Well, not making it all about me, but like I said, I keep God first, family second. And what makes me enjoy most about my boys is the fact that I see them flourishing and seeing all the work that we put in. Just a couple of stories, like when you see some of your sons define the odds. When I mean define the odds, is like one of my sons, they told him he'll never get a regional diploma. He got a regional diploma. And now he's in his third year at Buff State. And then my second son is getting ready to go off to college as well. So, and then my third son is in this, almost going to his third year at high school. And he's thinking about doing pre-med school when he go off to college and staying in the area. And then my fourth son is doing really well. He's very articulate. And what brings me most joy is to see how much confidence these boys have. They really are bringing me a lot of joy. And then my fifth son, which I said his name is Judah, like even he has a lot of confidence in himself. And sometimes when you see our youth and our next generation growing up, it seems like they don't have as much direction or they don't have confidence. But these boys have a lot of confidence, and that's what brings me a lot of joy.
So I'm going to ask you a two-part question because everything that you've told me so far sounds like a great formula, right? God first, family second, everything else third. Having family meetings, knowing your children and instilling confidence in them. How does that continue to motivate you? And then how do you, during times when things aren't going so well, give your boys hope?
Got it. How do we motivate them? And in times of trouble, how do we keep them getting hope? The way we motivate them, my wife is more like a self-motivator. And we, God motivates us to do great things and do things, but she say like, don't wait for somebody to validate you, make your own path. But when things aren't hitting home or when things are going in the wrong direction, so we motivate our children through prayer, but also we make sure that we're sitting down, taking that individual time with each of the children, which is not always likely because we have 5 boys, and sometimes it get kind of hard trying to get that individual time with your boys. But we'll bring them in our room, close the door so none of the boys is in the hallway trying to listen to the conversation, had that one-on-one time with the boys. And to tell one story, one time my son cut his finger when he was at home. He was young, and he was just trying to cut an apple or something like that. And the rest of the boys said, "Pray, Tay, pray." So they were. That's just an example of how these boys motivate themselves, but they keep God involved while they motivating themselves to get past whatever trauma or whatever they got going on. I was born and raised in the Buffalo area. My wife is from the Bronx, so she's more. She grew up in her grandmother raised her, and even with myself, like we grew up without our father. My father died when I was 4.5 years old. So being a self-motivator, not waiting for somebody to validate you, but validate yourself. But also, we teach our boys by leading by example. We talk like one wife, one life. I've been married to my wife for 21 years, and nobody else could walk across and say I'm very faithful, a faithful man. So, and it seems like the only thing you do is lead by example, because back in the day, people used to always say, "Do as I say, not as I do." But kids you don't learn like that. They gonna watch what you do, and they gonna do. They don't do that. They don't do as you say and not as you do. So the best way is lead by example.
Gotcha. And how do you continue to instill hope in them?
Instill hope. The way we instill hope, like for example, one of my sons was chasing his dream for football. And he played since he was 6 years old. And then he made the choice of being the big fish in the sea to being going from a big fish in a small pond to a big fish in the ocean with a bunch of kids who know how to play football. So we just, I kind of still hope in them using my football terminology, telling them just giving them some pep talks, more the Marv Levy pep talks and not dictator pep talks, being more of a, motivator, or there's another term for it or whatever, but motivating your children like the way you motivate your teammates or people that you play with. And he's been taking it on pretty well. He's been talking about going to college and still playing football. No matter where he lands, I can see this kid being successful. So that's just another example of how we motivate them when it feels like their backs is against the wall. And then my one son, Naeem, which has another meaning to it as well. He's like a motivator too. Like when somebody tells him no, or you can't do that, you're not good enough, he defied the odds. He's defied the odds. So that's when I talk about it, it brings me joy. It also brings me goosebumps to see the way these children are just doing things that I couldn't even fathom my children doing, and so we just keep motivating them and motivating them by them watching us and keep getting them going to work every day no matter what, and just being, like I said, God first, family second, and everything else after that.
It's a solid foundation.
Yes.
So tell me, has there ever been like a challenging moment in your fatherhood journey, and how did you deal with it?
A challenging moment was when I had my firstborn son, and he was in a NICU for sleep apnea. And what happened, they told me and my wife that we'll need to either get a trach in his throat because he stopped breathing in his sleep. So my wife said, maybe we could try the CPAP machine. This is before they started using CPAP machines on infants. Mm-hmm. And it worked. So we went through a lot. He was in the hospital in the NICU, in the ICU, for about in the month of November during Thanksgiving, and then around Christmas time, he's picking the holidays to go in. So we kept praying about it, and that was really something that we as a family went through. This is my firstborn son, and we had it was a big challenge. We kept praying. My family, kept coming to the hospital, children's hospital, praying with us and keeping us motivated. And this is my firstborn son, and he kept having breathing issues or whatever. So he used a CPAP machine until he started playing basketball, and then he lost the weight, and he came off the CPAP machine. So this is the kid that really, they told him he'll never get a Regents diploma. He did that. They said he never make the basketball team because he made it his senior year. And that's just like going all the way back to when he was born to now. And then seeing we got 4 other sons that's coming up behind him that's like really, really doing well. It motivates me, and think, every family has a story. Every family go through stuff. But the only how we would have got through this is by the motto of God first, family second, everything else afterwards.
So it sounds like you've got a good handle on the experience so far. So why would you say, in your own words, why fatherhood is so important, and why should other community-based organizations do more around this issue?
Well, there's so many reasons why I think fatherhood is so important to our young men, not just young black men, but young men all over. And there might be studies, now I don't want to quote it, I don't have the paperwork in front of me, but studies show when a father's involved in the family, and there's a 2-family home, that the kids flourish more, and they're able to get out there and just be more confident. And it seems like when you have a 2-parent home, and especially when the father's involved, there's a spiritual connection, and it's biblical, but you see it in studies. When you have families who have the father involved, things are run that much more smoother. And you don't have to be a dictator. You don't have to be too soft, too hard. You got to find that happy medium in between. It's very important. Even though my father died when I was 5 years old, my mom raised 5 of us almost by herself till I was 12, and then our stepfather came into the picture. But studies show, and you'll see, based on those fathers being involved in the community or outside the community, that people are able to overcome and be more resilient when both parents are involved.
Amen, amen. In fact, as we talked earlier, if both parents have educations, right, the more education they have, the more the expectation is there, and the kids live up to it, that they should go to college, right?
Yeah, so we got 8 degrees in the household between me and my wife. So it's like the motto in our household is to hey, you got to go to college. Just like they got to play football, they got to go to college. And if it's 2 year, 4 year, whatever it is, they at least got to give it a try.
That's right. That's right. So as we wrap up, what is one thing you would say, or maybe two things that you would say to encourage a young father just starting on this journey similar to yours? What would you say to encourage that young man?
I would say keep God first, keep pushing. And no matter how the situation look, if you're going through a bad situation, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Or there's a lot of cliches, but it's true. There's always times where you get to a point where you just like, wow, I'm tired of this, or I'm tired of that. But one time my mom, there was an instance where I was just like, wow, I'm tired of praying. And my wife grabbed me by the hand and said, Shawn, like, I never heard you say, I'm tired of praying. She said, so she sat down there with me and prayed. And we all get to that point where we're tired of a situation we're going through. And that was the only time in my life my mom ever heard me say something like that. So, and it sticks with me to this day. Like, I pray in the morning, I pray at night to get a spiritual connection with God. And not to be so religious, but to be spiritual. And there's two different things, but they're intertwined. So there's a foundation, a basis that keep me going. And to the young fathers out there, the old fathers, the people that are struggling, there's no situation that's that dire that could stop you from being a father. So, and that's one of the most beautiful things besides, having a baby, getting married, and it's all intertwined. Like I said, like having a baby, getting married, or doing things within the family. The family unit is so important in our generation, and when the father's involved, the boys or girls, they come out more confident. And I can go on and on, but that's what I got.